Well, that was a good break. Let's take a look at what is one of the most challenging boss fights in Curse of Aros, and that is Nydarax the Vengeful. This Spider Queen, while important to grind, is actually a fully optional boss. All of her dropped rarities except for the pet Tiny Darax can be traded amongst other players, so you can technically never ever have to fight her at all and still be able to excel as a mage. Now, where can you find her? In order to find Nydarax, you must first go west of spawn into the sandy waste of Shadow Dune. There you will find a cave entrance to the crypts of Nydarax near the east of the Shadow Dune town. This cave entrance leads to a series of floors where you are faced with fully aggroed venomlings and may be extremely difficult to go through without blasting through a whole bunch of potions and risking death. On the 5th and deepest floor of the crypt, you will find a battle mage. Talking to this battle mage will give you a few options in how long you want to fight the queen for, and each additional 30-minute timer costs 1 Turmoil of Nydarax. Now, this is an item you cannot trade with, but you can only craft it through the materials dropped by the various venomlings in the crypt. There is also another use for the Turmoil of Nydarax, and that is 1 additional Turmoil of Nydarax that you bring into the boss fight increases your Turmoil level by 10%. Now, what this means is the boss gets much harder but gives more EXP and more drops of loot. I recommend a starting 100% Turmoil for new players so that you can get the best bang for your buck. Now, a big question is, why farm Nydarax? Yes, this boss is entirely optional, but she is also the only boss that drops materials essential for the strongest gear set in the game, and that is the Turmoil Mage set, at least right now. To add, she also drops a ton of tradable goodies, which means you can make quite a good living just farming Nydarax as much as possible, including lollipops as well. Now, her legs go for up to 65 million and her fangs 15 million at least at the time of this recording, and this is also the only place where you can farm endlessly because she drops a ton of tier 3 magic tomes, Turmoils of Nydarax for unlimited entries, and a ton of flasks of life. Also, Nydarax is a pretty special encounter in that you have her all to yourself in your own personal instance, so you can just keep fighting her over and over and over again, and you don't have to worry about all the gondols and all the putanginamos from stealing your shit. Now, as for your requirements, I would highly recommend picking a fight with her only if you have minimally level 90 in magic, and this is important because she can only be hit by magic. Now, go buy yourself the materials needed for a full level 90 rage set, which should cost you about 30 million at most, and you are good to go. As for your stats, I highly recommend going full HP and full spell power. Now, moving on to your battle preparation, it is quite important to bring a few things. First, you want to have flasks of life, not health flasks, and to top that off, you might want to bring some vitality potions so that your healing is improved by, I think, another 25%, and you also want to bring magic potions for more damage. I think it's about 5%. At least 11 Turmoils of Nydarax so that you can have a 30 minutes 100% Turmoil fight, a CD pad, and if possible damage relics and power relics, and that's about it. Now, before we look at the full run itself, it is super important to understand her move set. So she has quite a few abilities, but it is not too complicated. So her first attack resembles that of magical attacks. They come in fireballs, ice balls, cock balls, and poison balls. Now, while they resemble magic, they in fact do not possess the same debilitating effects that these magics bring. In other words, it's just normal DPS. Moving on to her next ability, she will spit out a few sticky webs that follow you around until you either kill it or let it despawn after 30 seconds. Now, when they reach you, you will be stuck to the ground for 3 to 10 seconds, and this could kill you in 80% of all situations. The best way, in my opinion, to deal with these sticky webs is to just run around and focus on the boss. They can be completely ignored, and as you can see, this is an extremely simple task. Next up, she summons 4 spiders at once that are either called Sacrifice or Drainage. When this happens, make sure to plug out your butthole because you gotta act fast. Now, just like the sticky webs, she could potentially release multiple waves of spiders at once, and this RNG could certainly kill your run immediately. Now, to understand why this is the case, let's start with Sacrifice. Now, these little bastards don't do much damage at the start, but every 25% health that the boss loses, they seem to double the amount of damage that they deal to you. So when the boss is down to her last legs, these sacrifices will one-shot you. Now, on the other hand, we also have Drainage, and unlike Sacrifice, these critters do not actually do any damage to you at all. Instead, if they do reach you, they would then heal the boss by a good chunk of HP, further delaying the duration of the fight. However, do note that you cannot outrun these spiderlings like the sticky webs because when they despawn, they will still trigger their effects regardless. So you must kill them. Just make sure to prioritize the Sacrifice spiderlings instead because they're just gonna kill you. But as for the Drainage spiders, they cannot actually kill you. And finally, we have her fourth ability, the Poison Pulse. So she will spit a bunch of these green blobs in your vicinity, and walking on them for longer than a semisecond will trigger a bunch of damage onto you and heal her for a good amount as well. Now these pulls should be avoided as much as possible unless you have to avoid her sticky webs and sacrifice spiderlings. Just note that you cannot out-heal the DPS of her Poison Pulse and you will die. And these are all of her 4 abilities, but with all of these abilities save for normal attack, the lower the boss's HP goes, the faster her rotation goes, and the more sticky webs or spiders she will spawn at once. Now this is also true with the higher levels of Turmoil, which is why I do recommend 100% Turmoil for new players or just players who want to farm on a less bitch of a boss. Now with all that said, let's take a look at a typical run. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And subscribe for more Curse of Aros content coming in the future. Now with that said, this has been Free to Play. And as always, I will see you in the next video.